Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington. I'm an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank. And with me today is a special guest, Brad Freels, for this edition of Business Icons. Brad, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
You're
Thank you,
recognized as an educator in the world of finance. You're an author, a speaker, and considered a pretty awesome wealth manager. So I want to hang out and spend a few minutes with you here to talk about the kind of people that you like to work with and what you provide, et cetera. So let me dive right in and ask you, what is the sweet spot of the kinds of clients that you focus on as a wealth manager?
Yeah, so Kevin, I mean, there's a wide range of individuals and families that we've worked with for years that require ongoing financial advice and help. But I would say in general, the sweet spot is people, say 55, 60 years old, that are looking at planning and preparing their retirement and what it could possibly look like for them.
There you go. So it's right as it's before they get to retirement age, because you got to do some planning before you just pull up the shingles and say,
yes, you don't wait till that time. Right. You got to get started early. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the focus of, and you've been doing this many years, so you've been helping a lot of these kinds of folks. But what let me put myself in their shoes, and what is it that they're looking for, or if I'm that guy thinking about retirement, what should I be thinking about?
Yeah, so, through the years, Kevin, we've learned that the first thing is very common with everyone. They all want, and so do you and I, they all want financial clarity.
Clarity.
Here's why. We all know what we have.
Yeah.
We just don't know how that's going to work out long term and how it would weather the storm through the years of retirement. So financial clarity, some vision, longevity.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important, and I think that folks that get to that point where they're getting ready to retire and they're unaware of some of the processes, it's good to know someone like yourself has been doing this for many years across the board, and you've seen these challenges that they're going to face, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what knowing the challenges ahead of time gives you the ability to counsel and advise on how to handle those. So what are those challenges that they may be facing?
Kevin, there's a wealth of them, but it's kind of about what we just talked about. So one of the first challenges is the longevity. The risk of any of us outliving our income and our assets.
Living too long.
Living too long. That's right. So that's generally the one of the biggest challenges. And then there's things like inflation.
Right.
Look at the drastic rise in cost of Medicare insurance premiums.
Yes.
All of that. Then there's taxation is a big scare, understandably. They're concerned in the event they would need long-term care of some type.
Right.
And what that cost.
Yeah.
And then always in the conversation is, of course, market volatility.
Yeah.
What happens to them later when we have a big downturn in the market or a market crash? How does that affect them at a time they're most vulnerable to that, when they're depending on these assets for the long haul?
So this is part of your planning and your teaching and your education is, hey, there may be some downturns, and these are the things you need to do to hedge yourself in the event of a downturn.
And we do that ahead of time. Got to mitigate that risk, have a plan, because it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, and it's too late to do it when it happens,
Absolutely.
right? You need to plan ahead, and that's that's why you're known as this wealth manager to help people navigate these difficult challenges,
absolutely.
Right?
And that's what we do. That's right.
Super. So folks that are sitting there, they're saying, wow, this is enlightening, and it has been for me also. Do you offer some help, resources? Are there some things people can kind of step their toe into the water to get an understanding of how you operate, Brad?
Kevin, absolutely. So the first thing I would say, they could jump onto our website.
Okay.
We have a wealth of information. We have a suite of retirement educational videos that encompass all of these challenges that we face. So really easy to educate themselves and understand what some of the things are, maybe even the things that they didn't think about were a
Right.
problem. So that's one way.
So the first step is get some good education. You've got these reports and educational on your website, all kinds of actual, really firsthand knowledge of,
Yes.
of the process.
And other than that, Kevin, it would be there's interactive tools there. So they could take one thing like a risk tolerance analysis, which would talk about their situation and ideas how they can position long term and how that would work to mitigate some of this risk and these things that
There
they
you go.
face.
Yeah.
Other things, they could certainly request a copy of my book.
Books, right?
And then we make it easy. I mean, they can, through the website, request a complimentary consultation at our office.
Oh, wow.
They can sit down with me. We will look at their situation, their positions, everything, and give them an idea of how their financial picture can work. Because we've talked about earlier, financial clarity is the number one problem.
you go,
So
right.
we're going to start with giving them some clarity.
Well, it sounds like you're offering almost like free mentoring to get them started, to understand the processes, and some education, mentoring,
Yes.
bring them under your umbrella, and then you can take it to the next step. It sounds like you're all about helping people get informed so they can make the right decisions for their future.
Kevin, we truly do that. We care about what we're doing. And one thing I didn't mention is the folks that maybe already retired, maybe they didn't really work with someone or set things up.
Right.
So we work with a lot of those. Maybe they don't have a formal comprehensive retirement income or distribution
Right.
plan, so they really don't know. They don't have that vision or clarity.
Right.
We can certainly look at that as well, and we see a lot of those folks continuously.
Yeah, the people that are out there listening right now, it sounds like an opportunity of getting educated, and you're there really for them, and then they can make some decisions whether it's doing business with you or not, because you're really all about helping people make the best decisions for their own situation. So
Absolutely.
so where do they reach you? And you've got some reports available and assessment guides. So let's talk about how they track you down.
So, Kevin, one thing, they can go to our website. There's a wealth of information there, but I would say go to the website, www.southwestretirement.net. The other thing they can do is certainly give us a phone call.
Yeah.
So our phone number, and we can set up a consultation, complimentary. Our phone number, 405-340-7728. That's 405-340-7728. We'd be happy to sit down and visit with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're giving a free consultation, mentoring session, free reports, free access to
Yes.
your website, your books. This is very powerful. Brad Freels, great having you here today.
Thank you,
And,
Kevin.
and thank you for being on this special edition of Business Icons, and thank you for tuning in today also. Take care.